My name is Purvi Shah and I come from Mumbai. What I do is I deal with the emotional and behavior aspects of human issues. And my journey about life skills started about 3 years ago when I remember waiting in a cabin of a school where I was newly joined. And I was waiting for my new case. So that's when a troubling mother entered, pulling the child by the ear. The child was bitterly crying. He was about 10 to 12 years ago, 10 to 12 years of age, and he was he was very bitterly crying, and the mother was extremely aggressive. She was also hopeless. I could see the hopelessness on her face. I realized that there was a lot of pain inside. She started venting out. John does not listen to us anymore. He does not respect us. I don't know what to do with this child. He's such a spoiled child. I asked her to calm down. I asked her what the issue was. She told me that we caught him smoking some days ago and he promised that he'd never lie to me. And yet yesterday he went out of the house and he didn't tell us about it and we were all unaware. We were extremely worried about this child. I told her, calm down. And I asked her, when did you see these issues coming up? She said, these issues have always been prevalent. There have always been complaints from the child's school saying he's not done his homework, he has incomplete books, he's pulled somebody's bag, he snatched something. But we thought it would always go away because my husband was the same. But unfortunately, it did not go away. I took up John's case. During the session with John, I realized that John did not feel any guilty at all. He kept saying these statements like, yes, I did smoke, but so all of my friends do. I only tried, it was okay. Or things like, yes, my mom is angry, but that's okay, she'll be fine. She always is in about 2 or 3 days. For him, there was no guilt. In fact, in a period of time, I started realizing that there were similar kind of cases with similar issues in the similar ages coming to me. Cut to, at the same time, I was also dealing with preschool children, that is the age of 0.0 to 5. There were a lot of newly admissions coming in. So I had to be there for the little howling angels to settle them in the class. What I realized was that not all newly admitted children were crying. In fact, there were a lot of other children who have been in the school for many years and were still crying. I don't know. I was confused. I thought that they missed their parents, which is why they were crying. Of course, that was true, but maybe partly. I was missing something over here. I remember this parent who just came to me and told me, it's a tedious job every morning to wake up my child from the time he starts crying and till the time he comes back home, he's still crying. I said, yeah, it really looks like a tedious job to me. What do you do? She said, nothing. Me and my husband decided a plan. We said, we'll give him something every morning so that he's happy to go to school, and when he comes back, we'll tell him that if you promise to be a good boy, we'll give you everything that you ask for. I asked, did it work? She said, yes, but only partly. After about 3 months now, we are struggling with giving him everything and anything that he asks for because he cannot take no as an answer. My curiosity kept growing, so I interviewed about 20 parents. And I realized that the questions that I asked were on the basis of whether the child wants something, whether he needs it, what do you do with him, whether he's still same at school the way he is at home, how does it go? I remember a lot of parents telling me, we often give him everything, We haven't got everything in our life that we've expected. And what am I earning for? I'm earning for him. I give him everything. Again, on the other side, I was dealing with a lot of primary section children. That's ages from 5 to 10. And again, there was the same kind of complaints from the same age group. A lot of jealousy, bitterness, not able to share. And I started wondering, what is this? I don't know. I distinctly remember this case very well, and I'll tell you why. I was dealing with Tara, an 8-year-old child. We decided for one of the lectures, one of the sessions, that we'll decide to read an English homework book. Next session, she came to me telling me, "Madam, I forgot my English homework book home because of my mother." "Because of your mother?" I asked. She said, "Yesterday we had unexpected guests home and she forgot to pack my bag. So I forgot most of my books." I asked, "Don't you pack your own bags? You're 8-year-old." "No, I don't know how to do it." I said, "Okay, well, you can ask your mother how to teach you." And she willingly accepted it. While we were having this conversation, I saw there was a stain on her shirt. So I asked her, "Did you drop some food on your clothes?" She said yes. So I went ahead and asked her, "Do you drop food at home as well?" She said no. I was confused. Either she was lying, either she was not aware. The next thing that I wanted to do was call the mother and ask her about these things. In fact, I also remembered that I have always seen a stain on Tara's shirt every session that she came, whether it was food, whether it was paint, whether it was ink. So it made me all the more curious. I wanted to talk to the parent. When the parent came to fed the child, I asked her. And she happily told me that yes, I feed the child because she's too young and I can't let her eat her food by herself. But everything rest she does by herself. I said, "Everything rest?" "Oh, she wears her clothes. I only button it. I only tie it for her. I only tie her shoelaces." So she was doing her homework. She was helping her pack her bags. She was helping her put buttons. She was helping her put tie laces. What was left? I understood that this was really the problem. It was a eureka moment for me. I realized that this is the point. The child is not given responsibility at home or at school. The child is not independent enough for whatever reasons. In fact, in the cases of John, it was the same. In fact, this was the reason why some preschool children cried and some did not, in spite of being newly admitted to a school. We decided, I spoke to principal about this thing. I said, "What do we do about this? This is the thing that I observed. How do we go about?" We decided, let's plan a program. A program that will help the child inculcate values through parents in a way that all the important values are fed in. A program on financial literacy. That was what I thought is very important for the child to gain responsibility and independence. So let me draw you a picture of this implementation that we did. Say you have a child, 6-year-old Ria, and you gave him a $50 and you said, "I want you to spend this money as the way you want it. But remember that it's your brother's birthday a week later and you have to be prepared for it. Get him a gift." She happily goes around, she decides what she wants to buy. She wants a hair clip like her peers have it. But at the same time, she remembers that I have to buy crayons for my homework. So she comes to you with a dilemma. You ask her, "Ria, what is more important? What do you need?" She says crayons. That's when you tell her what's the difference between the need and the want. Again, the birthday is closed, she checks her piggy bank, and there's not enough money in the piggy bank left. So you tell her that it's okay to not buy something for your child. You could probably make something, and materialistic gift is not always important. So here you are teaching the child valuing the emotions. Say about a week later, she has a math test. She dislikes math. She completely dislikes math and she does not want to do the math. So what do? You give her a tenner and you tell her, if you're going to do well, I'm going to buy you something. Or do you tell her, I'm very confident of you. I know if you practice a little harder, you'll be able to get through. Because it's a fact that a lot of love, affection, and simple most things like hugs work the best, more than your materialistic gifts. Um, these were some of the things that we used for the implementation. Uh, After this program, I remember having about only 10 parents coming for the session. But as and when the other parents saw the change with the child, we enrolled about 100 and more parents, and we had back-to-back sessions for them. If we need a generation for child who wants to be independent and responsible, I need a lot of me's, I need a lot of you's. Our child are seeds that are yet to sprout. They're buds yet to grow. So let's water it with financial literacy so we get the root and we get the offspring of gratitude, responsibility, and respect. Thank you. Namaste.